Hi everybody, this video is a walk through the different menus of the LinkDuino OpenWrt based web admin interface. It provides a good way to see what's available in there without actually installing the firmware. So first I need to say that the LinkDuino is based on the OpenWrt firmware, and this firmware comes with either no web admin by default if you take the trunk from the Subversion repository, or you get this very Windows 95 like feel for the web admin, which is based on Lucy. That's a little bit 80s. Or you get this one, which is one from the firmware, but it really hurts the eyes. So hopefully someone found a way to adapt a new theme based on the Bootstrap theme, which is the famous Bootstrap from Twitter. And it looks something like that, which is much nicer. It's simpler and less color. You have less color on the screen, and all the buttons are all the same. So it's really based on the original Bootstrap from the Twitter theme, and adapted to the Lucy systems, because there are some tweaks to. So for that, I need to thanks a lot the guy who did that, David Mentingen from the Nut and Bolt website. All right, so here we are. This is the basic authentication screen when you open the corresponding address to the address corresponding to your router. So you need to specify the login, actually it's root, and your password. And then you access the first menu, which is the general status of the router, where you have the router name and model and all the firmware version, kernel version, and local time. And you can see that here this is a dynamic HTML, so actually it's moving like every 5 seconds. You get an update, a partial update of the screen, not the whole screen. So it's using the XML and so on. Okay, so the uptime and load average, and here you have the available memory and free and cached, and all the statistics about memory and the network you are using, how much time you have been connected, and your network address and the DNS and everything, the number of active connections. If you have DHCP leases, because there is an integrated DHCP server on it, what are the actual leases that are used by your clients, the wireless, and on which SSID you are connected to, and what is the signal quality, and all the associated stations that you get. So you are client strong, and this is the MAC address and the noise and everything. Okay, so that's like a summary of all the figures on the router. Then this is the equivalent of the status overview here. Okay. Now, if you go into firewall, you will see a lot of stuff. You can reset all the firewall counters or restart completely the firewall if it is required. And then you have all the different firewall tables. So unless you're an expert, don't touch that anyway. But this gives you a very accurate view of the firewall settings. So you have all the chains and all the tables, the input tables, the NAT table and the Mongo table and row table and the row. Okay, and with all the packets that have been through. So that's really for the firewall. It gives you a very detailed view of the firewall. All right, and now for the routes. You have both the ARP, which is without the correspondence between the IP address and the MAC address, and on which interface. And you have either the IPv4 or v6 routes that are registered. You have then the system log, which is listing all what happened on the router for all the applications, all daemons that are running. So it's like the dmessage if you type it on the command line, and then the log read, and this is the dmessage. So this is only the kernel only log. Okay, so only the kernels and the kernel and all the modules, kernel modules. And then you can see all the processes. It's like doing a PS on the command line. So you have all the PID owner and the command that has been entered, and CPU usage, memory. You can hang up, terminate, kill the process. So you see all the process running on a router, including itself, the top here. And you see the web interface and the DNS masquerade providing their DHCP server and the DHCP client, the UPA supplicant, and Dropbeer for the SSH, and NTP for network update, and the web server itself, a watchdog, and network interface, UBus interface, hot plug, and all the stuff. So all the processes are here. And then you have some really nice view graphs. This one is the real-time load, so we see it's actually moving in real time. It's updated every 3 seconds, so you can see what's going on the router, and you have the load and average and peak. Okay, so and the scale is dynamic, so exactly as it does when you do it on your desktop. So this is for the load, the first one, and you have about the same thing for the real-time traffic. Okay, inbound, outbound, and average and peak traffic. So depending. Okay. Why is there nothing here? Maybe I'm not doing anything. So that's probably the reason. On Ethernet 0 and on WLAN because I'm connected through the LAN. So here it is. So you see there are some peaks and in the traffic. Okay, and of course it's moving. So that's nice. And on the wireless now, so it's more like a physical view of the wireless because you have like the noise floor here and the signal level here, and both with average and peak, and see it's moving every 3 seconds again. And here the rate, the baud rate, actual baud rate. So, and now for the connections, and you have the active connections on a machine with the list of the open ports. You see that's pretty impressive. You have all the ports that have been open on the machine, so that gives you a very nice view of what's going on graphically. Okay, that's about all for the first menu. On the system menu now, the system is first allows you to change the hostname and the time zone you are in. So, or you can sync the time with your browser if you don't want to use the NTP time synchronization with a server. You can enable the NTP client here, or provide an NTP server for your clients here. As for login, here you can specify the buffer size and everything. If you want to log to a separate server, you can specify its IP address and server port, and what is the output level you want into the logs, and what is the cron level for the logs, and again the NTP. And as for the language and style, you can actually, we have only English at the moment, but we may compile in a few other ones, but it takes valuable room in the flash. So, and the design, we have only the bootstrap design because the other ones are really ugly. So, and that's about it for the system and system administration. This is where you set up the router password for root, so with a confirmation, where you add a Dropbeer, which is the SSH server instance running. You can have several instances running at the same time. You can select on which interface you want it, or you want to select it on all the available interfaces, on which port, and if you allow or not the SSH password, or if you require to have your keys stored onto the machine. If you allow to root the root user to log in with the password, and also if you allow to do port forwarding. So you can add another one if you want, but that's the default one, which is on the default SSH port. And you can add also your public keys here. You can paste your public keys, so you don't have to enter the password, and the password doesn't go on the wire. So It's probably the safest way to disallow SSH password here and just to allow using SSH keys. Okay. For the software, this is where you can list all the software packages installed on machine, as well as an indication of the available free space on the root file system here. So we have only 30% left, which is like 96 kilobytes. So we are not speaking about megabytes here. And this is the list of all the packages that are installed on the machine on the default root file system. So as it is really oriented towards the Arduino, we have the AVR-Dude flashing utility, bus file, busybox, DNS, masquerade, dropbeer, and this is to format the E2FS progs for formatting external flash drive, firewall, hot plug, IP tables, IW, that's for wireless, JSON for shell and the kernel, and all the different kernel modules for the Atheros chip, for the wireless radio and crypto AES, and also the XT4 file system and the Fuse file system too, and some modules like for GPIO button and connection tracking and LED GPIOs, LED triggers, all the LED triggers, so you can do a few things with the LED, like USB activity and so on. And okay, so I will not go PPP and SCSI, so you can mount a drive, and of course the USB ACM and USB serial and USB serial FTDI, so you can access the console or the serial ports onto the Arduino board, and USB storage, so you can add an external disk. Okay, and libfuse, GCC, and libjson, liblua, pthread, and ubus, UCI, which is the config system for the OpenWRT based systems, the Lua language that is used by the LinkDuino Web Interface that we are using, and all the optional applications for Lucy. And this is the theme, bootstrap theme for Lucy, MTD for the flash utilities, PPP, OPackage, of course. We have the serial to net to do a proxy between the serial device and network socket, which is nice, and UHTTP, UCI, and zlib. So we can, for example, filter what package we want. If you want only to list the kernel modules, okay, here we are, we just have the kernel modules, so that's pretty easy to reset too. We can update the list from the up server, but I don't have one yet, so I don't do that. And you can install a new package from here. You just specify the name of the package and install it. And as for the configuration, it gives you the content of the package configuration file, where you specify where you will put the overlay over the read-only file system, and where you do the cache and so on. Okay, and startup now is listing all the services that are launched automatically at startup, which are the init script. So you can enable start and stop, restart, all these services that are running. And you can also add local startup commands here, like to launch automatically your program upon boot. Okay, and the schedule task is a little bit, that's for the cron jobs. Actually, you just have to type in the cron syntax, so it's not nice. I think that maybe something that we need to work on, but mount points is where you can see all the different mounted partitions onto the machine, and you can of course add a new partition or add a swap area. Okay, and the LED configuration here, it's very interesting because there is only one LED on this small router, the blue LED, so which is TP-Link colon blue dash the colon system, and that's the same as this one anyway. And you can set the default state, and you have several triggers, so you can not turn it on by default all the time, have a timer, or trigger the LED on several sources. And the default one is to use the physical interface for the WLAN. So you see when there is activity on the LAN. It's on by default, and it will flash off when there is activity. So that's so you can configure that. Something that has been added for the compared to the based OpenWRT distribution is the buttons interface, where the only one reset button that we have on WR703M. You can test it for release, and you can attach a handler for it. And actually what it does is to do to reset all the parameters as they were for the first boot, and then reboot the machine. So, but only if you hold the button for at least 3 seconds and up to 10 seconds. So it's like a security. So if you that provides a very interesting feature, that when you have messed up your configuration, you just have to press the small reset button for 3 seconds, and the machine, the router will reboot and go back to the initial first boot setup. So you can restore all your parameters if you require. Okay, that's different from the fail-safe mechanism that is also present, but you see. Okay, and something that has been added too is the ability to control the GPIOs that are available on the PCB. Actually, there is one that is fixed, which is for the USB power, that allows you to turn on off the USB device that is attached to the USB port. And it's on GPIO 8, and it's a in or out, it's an out, and you can say if it's an active low or active high, the initial value and the current value. Okay, so for example, if I want to switch off the USB, I just have to say 0 and save and apply. Okay, and you see that the current value is changing, or I can turn it on again. Okay, and if I connect an Arduino board to it, for example, we'll see, okay, you see the device that is attached to it. Alright, let's turn it off. I turn it off, and you see the disconnect here. Okay, and if I turn it on again, it's back to life. So it's a way to turn on or off the Arduino board from the web interface. So that's pretty cool. Okay, and backup flash and firmware. And this is where you can generate an archive of all your parameters. So in case you mess up with your parameters, you can restore this one. Or you can perform a full reset. This is like the first boot reset, resetting all the values to their default values. You can restore, of course, the files that you backed up here and upload the archive. Or you can also flash a new firmware image. This can also be used for reverting to the original Chinese firmware too. You can choose to keep the settings or not, and you can choose the file that you want to upgrade. Let's take this one and flash. Okay, and there is a confirmation. You can verify the checksum here and the size, and if the configuration is set, and you can proceed or cancel. Let's cancel it for this time. You can reboot the machine here. We'll do that later. Okay, so let's try. Okay, you have a confirmation. You can perform reboot here. And for the network, you have the network interfaces. Here we have 2 interfaces, but you can have more if you want. You have LAN, which is for the wide Ethernet, providing a DHCP server, so you can edit that. And you have the one for the wireless network, which is a client to this Squonk42, my home network. So you can edit both of them. The one, so you have this like it's a static address, and it's providing a DHCP server, as you can see, between these addresses. And you have all the options, like for the dynamic DHCP and IPNet, netmask, and DHCP options. So you can add options, so you have full control over the DHCP server. And advanced settings is if you want to bring this interface upon boot, and all the metrics, and again, and physical settings if you want to create a bridge and which interfaces you want to bridge, and the firewall settings on which firewall zone you are assigning this interface, this particular interface. So this one is on LAN. Okay, you have the same thing for the WAN, for the wireless, which is DCP client here, and the advanced setting I bring it upon boot. And okay, but you have no DHCP server on this one because we are a client. I can make it part of a bridge, and the firewall setting it's part of the WAN interface. Okay, and Wi-Fi here. It's the wireless network we are using. We are in client mode, but we can be in access point mode too. So I can scan the networks, the available networks, if I want. Or edit the network and see you see all the wireless security, so you can change the key and everything, or the different mode, the country code to select the channels you are using. And okay, and DHCP and DNS. So all the DHCP, and if you have a server which are the leases that you or static leases, you can have the static leases exactly as a normal router. And for the host settings, you can set all the host file. TFTP, you can enable TFTP server, so you can boot TFTP enabled devices. And in advanced setting, you can do a lot of things from the DNS server port and everything. Okay, and host names. This is just for the host name. You can add a static host name into the etc host file. A static route. Okay, you can add a route, a static route to a network. It's like a ifconfig, if you know about that. The diagnostic, where you can ping for whatever address you want to check for the network availability, or trace route, or this gives you all the nodes in between, and the NS lookup, which gives you the DNS resolve. And the firewall here is giving you a lot of control, so you can define zones like LAN 1 and control what's going on by default from this one to this one. And so this is general settings, so these are the default rules. The traffic rules, where you can open up some ports, like here by default you have the ICMP for the ping, and you have the HTTP admin that is available outside. Maybe turn off this one if you want, and the SSH admin that is available outside from the WAN. Okay, and then you can forward ports to some machines onto the LAN, from the WAN to the LAN, for example. So you can open some ports, forward some ports that are on an internal machine on the external WAN network. And you have the ability to enter the rules, custom rules by yourself. Okay, and you can log out. So that's about it. Okay, hope you enjoy it. Bye.